Hey there! I know it's been a really long time since I've put up a video, but I'm here today to explain why. I was super excited about starting to film some makeup videos and have YouTube as a part of my life when my life kind of got sidetracked a little bit. I had something else I needed to put a lot of time and energy into. So this video is going to be explaining why I was gone and all the exciting things that have happened during that time. I did a DNA test with Ancestry.com in the beginning of the year. I got my results back in March, and it has been a hell of a journey, to say the least. So I figured I'd start this video off in the very beginning of me and explain why I tested, what it's done for me in my life, and what it will continue to do. So I'm going to try to keep it short, but it's a lot of information that I think is kind of important to share. My point in doing this video isn't necessarily for you to know my story, but to understand DNA testing a little better and understand how it's affecting people's lives like mine. Okay, so 36 years ago, almost 37 years ago, I was born to a single mom. She did not put a father's name on my birth certificate. I had an amazing childhood being raised by my mom, and I had my grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, great-grandparents, great-aunts and uncles. I have a huge extended family that are all very close, and I had a pretty cool experience growing up, having access to all of that family, having that kind of love and support. My family wasn't perfect by any stretch, but I think it's full of some pretty awesome people, and regardless of any family stuff, I know that I'm really loved by these people, and I never went without. So before the age of 10, all I knew was this awesome family and the name of a man that helped make me. It was never big discussions. It was never anyone talking badly about him, but it also wasn't a secret. If something came up, if somebody asked, if somehow something came around regarding who my father was, his name was said and life went on. I didn't feel like I was missing a father. I think because I had so many people to love me, even though I didn't have somebody to call dad, I don't think I thought of it much. I don't remember it being a part of my young childhood at all. Things just were what they were, and I was good with them. When I was about 10 years old, my mom had remarried, and he adopted me, so that put his name on my birth certificate and changed my last name. We moved, and my parents got a house, and I changed schools, and we weren't very far away from my family, but we were in a different town. And very shortly after we started living there, I realized the name of the man I was told was my father. There was someone living, I can't speak. There was someone living in this town that we'd moved to with the same name as the man I was told was my father. I put a lot of thought into it and different things, and I finally just asked my mom, I'm like, so what's the deal? And she told me, yes, it was him. And, you know, not to worry about it, just keep living life. Well, things changed drastically for me in those first couple of years. I was in that age range where girls are trying to figure out who they are and what they want, and hormones are kicking in and attitudes kicking in and all of these things, and it definitely negatively affected my life. I saw a man that was liked and respected in the community and seemed like a good man and a good father, and I couldn't help but to think, if he's so good, why doesn't he want to love me? Why doesn't he want to be a part of my life? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not worthy in some way? Am I not good enough? Am I not smart enough? Am I not... It all started at that point where I was constantly worried about what people thought of me, because I wanted him to care about me, I guess. I wanted him to pay attention to me in a way, but also I was scared. I was scared to draw attention to myself. I didn't want to disrupt his family. I didn't want to cause their life to have any problems. It was very overwhelming at times for me, because I had this need to have him in my life, but I also was scared to death of causing negativity for him or anyone, my mom, myself. Thankfully, I had a couple close friends that I did confide in about this, and I'm forever grateful to them. It was just really hard sometimes, and it may seem silly to some, and I know that there's so many people out there in the same position that I was in, but unfortunately I chose to let it control a lot of my life and direct my life for a long time. And now looking back, I understand why I made some of the choices I made and did some of the things I did. And it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but whatever, it is what it is. So fast forward, I believe I was maybe around 19 or 20, I did contact him. I mailed a letter to him, and he replied, and he expressed doubt that he was my father. He did not give any details. He said he would test if we could figure out a way to do that. Mind you, this was the late 90s, early 2000s, and testing was still really expensive then, especially for someone my age with not much in the bank account. And that was pretty much our only communication ever. I've never had a conversation with him face to face. So life happened after that. I just never found a way to afford it, or it wasn't a priority to me. I had a child. I got divorced. I moved across the country, and then got divorced, and then moved again, and then, just life kept going. And even though it was in the back of my mind a lot, it was something I thought about. It is something that ate at me. I was too scared to do anything about it, I guess. But this year, after seeing so many commercials and stories on YouTube and all these things about testing, and then having people in my family test and my friends test, I'm like, okay, it's about time to figure this crap out. So I got my test and I sent it in, and it takes a few weeks. So during that time, I built my tree. I built my mom's tree out, which was relatively easy. My mom's family is pretty well documented for the most part. It was pretty simple for me to build out multiple generations on all of both her mom and her dad's side. I'm like, okay, this is cool, like finding out cool things about my ancestors and all of that fun stuff. I also built a tree for the man I believe that was my father, and I didn't attach it to me on the tree because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my proof and then I'm gonna attach it, and then somebody will find me someday and this will all work out, or whatever I'd imagined to happen. So I get my results, and of course the ethnicity side of it was super cool. Learning that I'm mostly Scandinavian was unexpected. I'm going to go into all of that stuff in another video where I actually show you what you get when you test with them and some ways to make the information work for you, like some beginner stuff, because the website and all the information can be kind of overwhelming. But so ethnicity, cool. I move on to my matches, and my very first match, I'm like, okay, this person has no name, no tree, no information, nothing. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know who this is. Next person is my mom's first cousin, who I was raised with. I have a relationship with still today. I adore her, and I'm very thankful I have her in my family. And when you have someone who also has a tree, it shows you a graph and shows you directly how you're related. It showed me exactly that we were first cousins, one time removed, which makes sense because that's what I know her as. Showed the relationship, showed us how much DNA we share, all of that stuff. I'm like, cool, I have one confirmed 100%. I know this is how we're related. I know what I'm doing, right? So I go into the shared match area. That tells you what matches you also share with that person. So the number one person was on that list. I'm like, cool, this person is also through my mom's mother's line, the same as my second match. I know what I'm doing now. I can figure this stuff out. I felt like a professional like in the first 30 minutes. Little did I know, I didn't have a freaking clue what I was getting myself into. I then move on to my third match, and my third match is being administrated by a professional genealogist, and there's no tree or really any information, so I message her. So I'm like, okay, this is a professional genealogist and administering this account. This is going to be someone who will speak to me, because this is like their job, right? So I messaged her, and she did get back to me very, very quickly. She explained to me that this match was adopted, and that's why she was administering the account, and she was looking for the adoptee's birth family, and she would be more than happy to take a look at my information with me, teach me some things, talk to me, because through helping me, I could help this adoptee. I was immediately all in. I was excited. I was so pumped because I'm like, I could solve this mystery, and woo, you know, good karma for Jill for helping out an adoptee find her parents, or, you know, I was just excited. I was like, okay, this is for real. You can really find family. I am not alone. I am not the only person trying to prove something or trying to figure out where I belong and who I actually come from and stuff. So I gave her full access to all of my information, answered every question she had, and in like less than a day, she informed me that my father is not who I thought he was. That was tough to hear, because I truly expected to go through this situation with him. You know, I expected to link to him. I knew it wasn't the only possibility. I'm not stupid. I knew that there was a reason why he wasn't put on my birth certificate. There was a reason why he wasn't a part of my life. He had expressed doubts to me, but no one ever had given me a reason to believe that other than him. So I guess at this point, I need to add, in case you don't know me, that my mom passed away almost, 8.5 years ago, I guess it is now. So I can't ask her. I did talk to a lot of her family and close friends and start piecing together some information and timeline and whatnot. But that moment started a non-stop obsession to find the truth. I was on a mission. I was investing a lot of time, probably too much time, especially if you ask my family. Things got neglected because I was on Ancestry. It was really hard. I mean, every moment I had free, I was reading community posts and Facebook group information and watching YouTube videos and watching part of a seminar. I mean, you name it, I was doing it to gain information. Thankfully, I don't know if you want to say lucky or what, but between the professional and a amazing friend of mine named Charlotte, I had a lot of really good resources from the very start. My friend Charlotte has been into genealogy for a really, really long time, and she's practically a professional as well. She's super smart and capable, and from the very start was so supportive and helpful to me. I will never, ever, ever be able to thank her enough for all the help and support and love she showed me through this process. She put a lot of hours and time into either talking to me and answering questions or working on my stuff herself. So thank you, Charlotte. So with the help of Charlotte and the professional that was administering the other account, and me working my ass off to try to learn how to use the tools available to make DNA make sense to you, I think I figured out who my father is. It was probably the hardest phone call I have ever made, to speak to him, and it was very, very emotional. It was exciting, but it was sad. This journey as a whole has ran me through every emotion you could imagine times 10, and it just keeps going. Thankfully, I was met with an amazing amount of kindness from him and eagerness to test and to know the truth for both of us. Everything's okay. It's been hard. It's been frustrating. It's been exhausting, physically, emotionally. But I should have my results in about a week, and I will know if all my hard work paid off as well as I thought it has. And then we'll be moving into an even scarier territory for me, which would be actually having a relationship. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I've been. That's why I haven't really given any thought. I've worn this very simple, like barely there makeup almost daily because I'm so preoccupied that I've taken one of my real loves in life away from myself, which is kind of unfortunate, but I guess we all have our moments. And very soon I'll be sitting down here and playing with makeup more, and hopefully doing some like get ready with me style videos where I just sit and put my makeup on and have a conversation about whatever it is I'm thinking about that day. And the more time I spend on YouTube, the more I realize I don't like YouTubers that it's a big production and lighting is hide your flaws and all of those things. Like I like the community of YouTube, and I really just want to, you know, share my skills and my perspective with people and have people share theirs with me. So I will be making more videos, but I'm also going to do some more DNA videos, as I've already stated, I believe, and continue down that path. I have helped 2 adoptees find family. I'm working with another adoptee and a couple cousins that, like me, do not have birth father information. And even my own husband is unsure, has some questions regarding who one of his grandfathers was. So I still have lots of things to work on. I'm not going to walk away from Ancestry now that I've figured out mine. It's something I do enjoy doing, and I like learning about the methodologies and what you can do, and there's so much to learn. Like, I know a minuscule amount, but because of my stubbornness, I guess, of accepting that it was okay that I was walking in circles half the time. I was wasting my time because I had no idea what I was doing, but I just kept doing it. And sooner or later it came together, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And the major point of this whole video and why I made this video is 6 million people have now tested with Ancestry.com. That's a lot of freaking people. And out of that 6 million, there are thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people that are adopted or have inaccurate birth father information, or had a cousin that was adopted that they're searching for, or they don't know who their grandmother was, or you name it, people are out there looking for it. Sometimes it's immediate family, like a parent or child, and sometimes people are trying to figure out who their 6th great grandfather was. Regardless, there are people out there investing a lot of time and money into this situation to figure out who they are and where they belong and who they belong to, I guess. And so I just wanted to put some information out there about if you're going to test, things you should and shouldn't do. Maybe just my opinion. So first off, obviously testing can open a big can of worms. So you need to be prepared to accept anything that you find, because DNA doesn't lie. You may have been told that your great-great-grandmother was a full-blood Indian and you have no Native American DNA. You would be shocked by how many people have this story only to find out they don't have any of that DNA, whether it be just washed away as, generations happen, or it wasn't there to begin with. You may find that your aunt is really your sister. That has happened on multiple occasions, not so much in my generations, but older generations, where a girl would have a baby and that girl's parents would raise it as they were siblings to both the kids because they, it was out of wedlock, or the girl was very young, or what have you. There are a million possibilities, and you have to be willing to accept any of them because they can be proven. You also have to be willing to, I shouldn't say you have to, I would hope that you would be willing to communicate with people. There are a lot of tests. I mean, I could take you through page after page after page of people who do not have any information listed, do not have a family tree in any way, shape, or form, and have not replied to messages in weeks, months, or even years. They did the test for ethnicity. That's all they cared about. That is absolutely fine. But from a searcher's point of view, it's extremely frustrating. In my situation, I sent out a lot of emails almost immediately, trying to communicate with people, asking a couple simple questions, or saying, do these surnames make sense to you? One of my highest matches hadn't been logged in a long time, did not have a tree, didn't have a real name attached to the DNA. There was nothing that was going to help me figure out who this person was unless they communicated with me, or more matches triangulated, if you will, our relationship. After over 3 months since my original message, this man finally messages me back, gives me contact information. We even have a phone call, and within minutes gives me a huge amount of information where I'm able to finally start piecing together stuff from the, that I'd been working on for weeks or even months. And without his help, I don't know if I would have figured out who my father was, at least not in the time frame that I did. I'd probably still be working on it right now. So him being willing to communicate with me solved things for me. And my hope is to get a message out there that if you are testing, at the very least, just be upfront and honest with people. You get a message that says, I'm researching this line Smith. I'm curious if that surname is in your family tree. Could you please, or would you be willing to communicate with me? Even if you have absolutely no desire to get involved or know or try to figure out, you could say, yes, Smith makes sense to me. It was my great-great-grandmother was Jane Smith, and she married John Robertson, and yes, that name is in my family tree. That's it. That's all the information, because I could then take that information and know if I'm headed down the right path or not, which is huge in trying to figure out where you belong, surnames, and knowing who belongs where and what. And some of those very simple emails that said, yes, I have that name in my tree, gave me the information I needed. And it, thankfully, I was, everyone I actually was able to communicate with was very kind and generous and helpful to me in some way, shape, or form. They may not have had a lot of answers, so they thought, but just little confirmations here and there consistently reminded me that I was headed in the right direction in some way, shape, or form. So those are things I would hope that if you decide to test with Ancestry, you'll take into consideration. You never know what you're going to find out, and there are so many people begging for bits of information so they can figure out where they fit in all of this. I think I'm done rambling now. I know it was really hard to do this video and keep it short. I'm so passionate about it now. I've invested 1,000 or more hours into this. I've learned a lot about myself during this journey, and I can say that I am proud of myself, and I am excited to continue the process. And hopefully I will have a video very soon with good news saying that yes, indeed, I have found him, and going from there. So if anybody has any comments, questions, concerns about any of this, please feel free to ask. I am very excited to share a little education about this with people and help people see how this could affect their life, or if they've already done it and didn't know all of these things were available, some tips and tricks they can do to have a little bit more fun with their Ancestry account. So I'm going to shut up now. But thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed, I guess, hearing about my crazy life. But all right, thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.